Everybody's talking about Retatrutide like it's just another fat loss drug, but nobody's really explaining what it's actually doing under the surface to your brain, to your metabolism, and even the reward system. And that's where things start to get interesting, because I'm not talking about nausea or basic appetite suppression. I'm talking about side effects that actually matter. The ones you feel in real life but don't fully understand why they're happening. Some of them catch people off guard. Some of them are actually beneficial if you know how to use them. So let's break down the good and the bad and the real bad. Now, just some quick context, just so we're all on the same page. Retatrutide isn't just another GLP-1. It's what we call a triple agonist, which means it activates 3 different pathways in your body: GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptors. Most people have heard about semaglutide. That's just a GLP-1. Tirzepatide is a GLP-1 and adds GIP on top of that. But Retatrutide takes it a step further by adding glucagon activation, and that's a big deal, because now you're not just suppressing appetite, you're also increasing energy expenditure, meaning your body is actually burning more calories in the background. That combination is why people respond differently to it, and it's also why the side effects, both the good and the bad, go beyond just feeling full. Now let's break this down in 2 different categories: the quiet negatives and the underrated positives. All right, so let's get into the negatives, because this is the part nobody breaks down properly, and I'm going to walk you through one by one so you know exactly what to expect and when they might show up. Number 1 is the big one, and that's nausea. About 60 to 80% of people are going to feel this, and this is the most common one, especially early on or when you increase your dose. What's happening here is your stomach is emptying slower than normal, so food stays in your system longer, and when that happens, your body isn't used to it yet, so it can trigger that queasy, unsettled feeling. For some people, it's mild, just something that's kind of in the background. For others, it can be more noticeable, especially after you eat. You will usually feel it more after bigger meals or fatty meals or anything that really just sets heavy on the stomach, or if you eat fast too. A lot of people notice it more in the morning or the day after the injection. Most of the time, this shows up in the first couple of weeks or right after a dose increase, which is when your body is still adjusting. The good news is, for most people, it does improve as your body adapts. And usually just tightening up meal size, slowing down how you eat, and not forcing large portions can make a big difference here. Number 2 is the feeling like food is just sitting there. This one's just a little bit different than nausea. It's more pressure, fullness, like your meal is just parked in your stomach for hours. You might eat and still feel full 6 to 8 hours later. This usually shows up early as well, especially when you're figuring out your portion sizes. And if you eat too much or too fast, it makes it way worse. This is one of the biggest reasons people struggle to get in enough calories or protein in. Number 3 is feeling cold. This one catches a lot of people off guard, and you don't really expect it, and then all of a sudden you're freezing in a room that used to feel completely normal. What's happening is, as you start losing body fat, you're literally losing insulation. On top of that, your calories are lower, so your body isn't producing as much heat as it normally would. So now you've got less insulation and less internal heat production at the same time. That's why you'll see some people throwing on hoodies or turning up the heat or just feeling cold way more than usual. This usually shows up a few weeks in. Once weight loss really starts kicking in, it's not typically right away, and it tends to be more noticeable the leaner that you get. It's not really dangerous. It is aggravating. It's just one of those things that your body does when you're dropping weight quickly, but if you're not expecting it, it definitely throws people off. Number 4 is extreme appetite suppression, and we feel like that's what we want until it goes too far. Some people get to a point where they're barely eating, skipping meals, not even thinking about food, or they look at food and they just can't even eat it. This can happen pretty quickly once the compound builds up in your system. The problem is, if you're not intentional, you can end up under eating protein and total calories, and that's where the issues start to show up. Number 5 is low energy and fatigue. This is really common in the early phase. You might feel a drop in energy, you might feel weaker workouts, or just a little more overall sluggish. A lot of this comes from eating less without realizing it, and your body's adjusting to a new energy balance. This usually shows up in the first couple of weeks, and it often improves once things stabilize or you adjust to the dose that you're at, but you still need to support your body properly. Number 6 on the negatives is trouble sleeping. Some people do notice that it's harder to fall asleep, or they wake up more during the night. This can happen early or during aggressive fat loss phases. It's usually tied to changes in blood sugar, stresses on the body, or just not eating enough to support recovery. Not everyone experiences this, but when it happens, it's definitely noticeable because you're not getting any sleep. Number 7 is the flat, quote unquote, feeling. This one's pretty interesting because people describe less excitement around food and fewer cravings, but sometimes that also is just feeling less stimulated overall. And that's because these pathways interact with dopamine, your brain's reward system. So when that gets dialed down, things can feel muted. And this doesn't happen just with food. For some people, this can spill over into other areas like less drive for things that normally feel rewarding, even relationships, social interactions, or just that emotional pull that you're used to feeling. It's not that you don't care, it's more like the intensity just gets turned down a notch. This tends to show up once the compound is fully active, not usually day one. And for most people, the brain does adapt over time. Number 8 is skin sensitivity. And this one sucks if you do get it. It doesn't get talked about enough, but it comes up more than you think. And if you experience it without expecting it, it can feel pretty weird. Some people describe this as a mild sunburn where your skin just feels more sensitive than normal, like your t-shirt just brushes up against you and it feels exaggerated, or certain areas can feel irritated for no obvious reason. It's not usually painful and it's not usually dangerous. It is aggravating, it's noticeable, and it's kind of uncomfortable. This can pop up at random points during the cycle, not always right away and not always tied to dosing. The exact reason isn't fully understood, but it's likely tied to the changes in your nervous system or how your body is responding to rapid shifts in weight, inflammation, and signaling pathways. The good news for most people, it's temporary and it fades over time. But yeah, it definitely is one of those side effects where if you don't know it, you're sitting there just wondering what's going on. Number 9 on the negative side effects is muscle loss risk. And this one is a big one. It's not directly related to the compound. It's how people use it. If you're not eating enough protein, if you're not training, and you're losing weight too quickly, your body will absolutely pull from muscle. This tends to show up over time, not immediately, and it is one of the biggest mistakes that people make with aggressive fat loss. You typically want to aim to 1 to 2% of body weight loss per week. Anything more than that, and you might be targeting muscle. And number 10 on the negative side effects is hair shedding. This one usually shows up later, not right away. You might start noticing more hair falling out in the shower or over time. This is typically a response to rapid weight loss and stress on the body, not the compound directly itself. In most cases, it's temporary, but it can definitely catch people off guard. What you're going to want to do with this is take a good multivitamin, biotin, and you're going to want to have some type of collagen support that you take daily. Now, here's the thing with the negative side effects. Most of these are not deal breakers. They're just things that need to be understood and managed properly. A lot of times this comes down to how you dose it, how you eat, how you support your body while using it. If you do that right, you can minimize a lot of these and in some cases even avoid them altogether. Now, if we can, let's take a shift because the positives go way beyond appetite suppression. Number 1 on the positive side effects is dramatic improvement in insulin sensitivity, and this is huge. Retatrutide improves glycemic control through multiple pathways. GLP-1 increases insulin secretion in response to meals. GIP enhances that response. Glucagon regulation becomes more balanced over time. And so you might ask, what does that mean practically? Lower fasting glucose, reduced post-meal spikes, more stable energy. That's what it's going to do for you. When insulin sensitivity improves, the entire metabolic system functions better. Less crash, less hunger rebound, less reactive eating. For metabolically unhealthy individuals, this is a foundational shift, not something that's cosmetic. Number 2 is lipid profile improvements. And I honestly wish that this got more attention. In incretin-based therapies, we commonly see lower triglycerides, modest LDL reductions, improved HDL ratios, and reduced liver fat content. When insulin resistance improves, lipid metabolism improves. That's cardiometabolic risk reduction. For someone concerned about long-term health markers, this is a major upside. It's not flashy, but clinically meaningful. Number 3, and what everybody wants for Retatrutide, and that is reduced food noise. It's not just less hunger, it's mentally quiet. It's not thinking about food constantly. It's no obsessive meal anticipation. It's easier adherence without willpower battles. If you have struggled with food obsession for years, this can feel freeing. It changes the relationship with eating. Number 4 is reduced cravings beyond food. Now we can get into something fascinating. GLP-1 receptors are present in the areas of the brain involved in addictive behavior, especially within the mesolimbic reward pathway. Emerging reports, and just from talking to a lot of people and experiencing myself, there's reduced alcohol cravings, there's lower nicotine urges, there's less impulsive reward-seeking behavior. And you might ask, why is that? Because dopamine signaling becomes modulated. When the reward spike from substances is dampened, the craving intensity can decrease. This is not approved as addiction therapy, so don't think that I'm saying that, but the neurobiological overlap is very real. For some people, the spillover effect is one of the most unexpected benefits. Number 5 is increased energy expenditure. This is what really separates this compound. Most fat loss drugs just reduce how much you eat, so the entire effect comes from being in a calorie deficit, but this one works a little bit differently. It can actually increase how much energy your body burns throughout the day, even when you're not doing anything. That's coming from the glucagon pathway. So instead of just lowering intake, you also increase output at the same time. And that creates a much bigger overall shift in energy balance. You might even notice a subtle internal warmth or feeling like your metabolism is just a little bit more active. It's not like caffeine, it's just that your body is using more fuel in the background. This tends to become noticeable as the compound builds in your system over a few weeks, and it's a big part of why fat loss can happen more efficiently here, because you're not relying on willpower alone. Your physiology is actually working with you. Positive side effects number 6, and that is reduced inflammation. This is one of those benefits that doesn't get talked about enough, but it is a big impact on how you actually feel day to day. As weight comes down and metabolic health improves, inflammation in the body tends to come down with it. And for a lot of people, that shows up in subtle ways at first. It's going to be less bloating, less joint discomfort. Maybe you're not as stiff when you wake up and your body just feels a little bit better overall. You might even notice better recovery from workouts, like you're not beaten up between sessions. What's actually happening here is your body is under less stress internally. Better blood sugar control, less excessive fat, improved signaling, all that reduces inflammatory load. It's not something you always notice overnight, but over time it adds up and makes a real difference in how you feel and perform day to day. Number 7, improved metabolic flexibility. And it's something a lot of people don't really realize until they've lost. Metabolic flexibility basically means your body can switch between fuel sources efficiently, burning carbs when they're available and burning fat when they're not. The problem is a lot of people get stuck in one mode. They rely heavily on carbs for energy, and when those carbs aren't there, they feel sluggish, low energy, and even a little bit off. That's your sign that your body isn't great at tapping into stored fat for fuel. As metabolic health improves, your body starts to regain that ability. So instead of constantly needing to eat to feel energized, you can go longer without food and it still feels stable. Energy feels more consistent, workouts feel more efficient, and your body comes better at using what's already stored. This tends to improve over time, not instantly, but once it does, it makes a big difference in how your metabolism functions day to day. Number 8, reduced liver fat. This is huge for long-term health, even though it's not something you feel directly. A lot of people don't realize this, but excessive fat around the liver is one of the biggest drivers of metabolic issues. It affects how your body handles blood sugar, it affects how it processes nutrients, and even how your hormones function. When liver fat is elevated, your whole system becomes less efficient. As insulin sensitivity improves, fat loss happens. That liver fat tends to come down as well. And when that improves, your metabolism starts working the way it's supposed to again. Your blood sugar regulation gets better, your energy becomes more stable, and your body handles food more efficiently overall. And like I said, it's not something that you feel overnight, and it's one of the most important internal changes that's happening behind the scenes. And for long-term health, a major win. And number 9, what we all came here for, and that is significant fat loss. And yeah, we have to talk about this one. It's one of the biggest positive side effects that we're looking for, because at the end of the day, this is what we're using it for. And what makes a difference is how it's happening. You've got appetite control, you've got increased energy expenditure, you've got improved insulin sensitivity, better blood sugar stability, all working together at the same time. So instead of forcing fat loss through willpower alone, your physiology is actually working with you. That's why people are seeing real and noticeable changes, not just on the scale, but in the mirror and on blood work. Better body composition, less visceral fat, and a leaner look overall when it's done properly, and you can actually be proud of what you see in the mirror again. And for a lot of people, this is happening more efficiently than anything they've ever tried before, because it's addressing multiple layers of metabolism at once. Not just eat less, but actually changing how your body uses and burns energy. So when you look at this as a whole, this isn't just about eating less. It's affecting metabolism, it's affecting hormones, and it's even affecting behavior all at the same time. And that's why the results can be so different from everything else. And so you've heard the good things, you've heard the bad things, you've heard the really bad things, and maybe the really good things. In the end, Retatrutide just isn't a stronger appetite suppressant. Retatrutide changes energy expenditure, it changes insulin signaling, it changes lipid metabolism, reward circuitry, inflammatory tone. That's why the side effects, good and the bad, extend beyond digestion, and it extends beyond appetite suppression. It's acting at multiple metabolic layers simultaneously. And anytime you alter metabolism at that level, you get systemic effects. Some are uncomfortable, Some are incredibly beneficial. The key is to understand both sides and the risk and rewards, because when you only talk to people about nausea and weight loss, they miss the deeper story. And when something affects insulin sensitivity and it affects lipid markers and dopamine signaling all at once, that's not just cosmetic fat loss, that's metabolic remodeling. And that's why this compound is generating so much attention. Drop your experience of Retatrutide in the comments below. The good side effects that you felt, the bad side effects, anything that I didn't mention. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like it, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share it with a friend and save it to a playlist, and I will catch you on the next one.